Namaskar and a very warm welcome to all our participants, that is the teachers from the various universities and colleges from across the length and breadth of the country. I heartily welcome you all. I am Hema Pant. I am currently with the Regional Services Division of the Indira Gandhi National Open University. I welcome all our participants to this session, which is the 6th day in the 3rd batch of the Professional Development Program on the National Education Policy 2020. Now, before we begin with the session and before I begin introducing you to the theme of the session, I would just like to reiterate that this session, the 3rd batch will be today will be their last day, that is the 6th day, and you can write the test, which is the mandatory component, till the 15th. So today, that is the 13th of October, will be the 6th day in your batch, but you can still complete the program till the 15th of October, and that will give you the final completion. Now, friends, as you all know that the National Education Policy 2020 of the country is the first education policy in the 21st century. It is a policy which addresses the many developmental concerns of the country, not just of the country, I would say, but also if we look at it in the global context, then it also addresses the Sustainable Development Goal and the agenda for global development education, particularly the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which talks about providing quality, inclusive, equitable education and also the lifelong learning up till 2030. So, for a country like India, I think this is a mammoth task, considering the fact that this country is very diverse, heterogeneous and large. So if you see, if we go by statistics, then as per the All India Survey of Higher Education 2019, if we look at the higher education sector itself, we find that there are around 3.74 crore students in higher education who are enrolled in nearly 1,000 universities, almost around 40,000 colleges and 10,000 standalone institutions. So given this vast structure of the higher education sector in India, there is a need, as per the policy which clearly mandates, there is a need to reconfigure and completely restructure the higher education sector. And this will require, we have just begun, I should say, that it was launched in 2020 and we are into 22, and it has been taken forward very meaningfully by all the whole country, I mean the policy framers, the educationists and the government of India. Before we come to today's theme, I would like to just tell you that the theme today is effective learning environment and learner support. And to deliberate on this theme, I have with me a very eminent expert. The resource person is Dr. Umesh Chandra Pandey, who is seated on my left, and he is the director presently of the Regional Services Division. I would just like to give a very brief introduction about the resource person for the benefit of all who are participating in today's program. Dr. Umesh Chandra Pandey has more than 32 years of experience in planning and implementation of distance education programs in the country. He has served as regional director in several regional centers of IGNOU. As you all know, right now we have around 57 regional centers, and he has worked across, I think, 7-8 regional centers of IGNOU right from 1990. And in between, he has also served as the Director of Knowledge Management in the School of Good Governance, Policy Analysis, Government of Madhya Pradesh in Bhopal from 2008 to 2010, where he significantly contributed for identification and dissemination of good practices in the government. He is an avid researcher and he has a large number of research publications, including books to his credit, and his primary area of interest is open and distance learning system and sustainable development. So before I hand over the floor to Dr. Pandey, I would just like to inform our participants that you would have gone through the policy document, needless to say, the National Education Policy, which is available also on the web and everywhere on the portal itself. We also have the Indira Gandhi National Open University as part of this program, which is completely online through the LMS portal, and on the portal we have a lot of resource material for you, which is almost 14 units on the various aspects of the National Education Policy, which has been compiled into 4 modules, and along with that we have a large number of videos which are dealing with various themes given by, which have been prepared by eminent experts. So I would just like to repeat the theme for today, which is effective learning environment and student support. And as you all know that the National Education Policy proposes revamping of all aspects of the education system, also in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals, building upon India's rich knowledge base, tradition and value system. The National Education Policy, very specifically, if I say about the theme today, it talks under section 12 about the having an appropriate curriculum, the pedagogy, the relevant pedagogy associated with that, and also a continuous learner assessment and a very crucial dimension, which is learner support. So, sir, may I request you now to please take over the session and deliver your presentation on the theme of the day.
Thank you, Dr. Hima Pant, and all the colleagues from across the country, and it's an honor for me to talk to all this fraternity of higher education from different parts of the country. And as Dr. Hima has already introduced the topic to you, and I will straightway go to the main topic, and I would like to start from a very important kind of quotation, in fact 2 quotations from 2 different thinkers of the century. And first is about the Albert Einstein, and who long back, means in 1936, while addressing a meeting in University of New York, he said that the aim of the education must be the training of independently acting and thinking individuals. And then he went on saying that the development of general ability for independent thinking and judgment should always be placed foremost. And I like this quotation very much, primarily because it talks about the soul of our national education policy. Quite interesting, and as you can see that a man like Einstein had thought about these issues long back, almost 100 years back. Second is about J. Krishnamurti, who said that the highest function of education is to bring about an integrated individual who is capable of dealing with the life as a whole. So what we see in both of these quotations is that the people are talking about independence, and the kind of autonomous learner, a kind of a free learner, and whose individuality and uniqueness should be recognized. And then we have to prepare him for dealing with the life as a whole. This is what Albert Einstein, going back to the same earlier slide, and he says that the independent thinking and judgment should always be placed foremost, not the acquisition of special knowledge. And then he says further that if a person masters the fundamental of his subject and has learned to think and work independently, he will surely find his way, and besides will be better able to adapt himself to the progress and changes than the person whose training principally consists in acquiring the detailed knowledge. Quite interesting, and both of these quotations take us to basically this important theme about which we are going to talk today. First, let me say a few words about the overarching vision of the National Education Policy for higher education. And there are so many points, but I would like to highlight some of them. And the first point, which I find very important, and only those points I would like to highlight, which have something to do with the creation of a learning and effective learning environment in the universities. So some of those points, and the first significant point talks about global citizenship. Means we have this policy says that we have to bring about students' constructive public engagement and productive contribution to the society, and to develop a global citizenship. And among the students, by inculcating 21st century skills that foster commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living, and global well-being. And the same thing is also Sustainable Development Goal 4.7 also, as under SDG 4.7 also talks about almost the same things. So this is very important. I think we will be talking more about these issues later in this presentation today. And the important thing here is that our existing students, our university pass outs, actually somewhere they lack this connectivity to the global world. Means by and large people are yet to come out of that feeling that they are just, their existence is confined to the national boundaries, and they find it hard to relate to the global scenario. The fact of the matter is that we are living in the reality that we are in a globalized environment, where whatever happens in a remote country, say in America, it influences us also here in India. And similarly, what happens in China influences us here. So it's a global environment. What we cannot go on thinking about, at least the university pass out should have that kind of a mindset that we are living in a global world. There are so many challenges with the mankind confronts with. Unfortunately, in today's kind of a university setup which we have, when we look at the students who come out of the university setup, they most of the times are not able to relate to these issues. I'm not saying that it is true everywhere, but by and large, you will find these kind of things. Means university pass out, you will see that the university movements they are also most of the time they are misled by many things, and therefore they lack that perspective the student movement should be having. This is what is required, and that is a very important point in this policy. I think this is a major shift in the way we are thinking about university education in India. Second is about the concept of multidisciplinary and holistic education. Again, this is a very important kind of a departure from the earlier scheme of things which were there. People had not given so much of emphasis on multidisciplinarity, and therefore this is a major challenge for Indian universities. We will talk more about what is multidisciplinary and how actually it should be brought about in the curriculum and all. But this is a major point of the NEP about which we will be talking in this presentation. Next is about this policy talks about the demographic dividend which India has. This is the opportunity which the India has, but then there is a risk. If we cannot make our vast population, young population in the productive age group skilled enough to use this opportunity. Just people generally say a lot about demographic dividend, but that demographic dividend we will be able to reap the benefit of that dividend only when we will skill our population, this huge population of the working age population. Otherwise, it might turn out to a demographic disaster for us. So that's a very important point, and the national education policy talks a lot about this. It gives a lot of emphasis on this, and therefore many such things have been included in the policy which will be able to address this. And next point is about the gross enrollment ratio. As all of us know that as in 2018 it was 26.3%, and it has to be taken to 50% as per NEP. And similarly, the vocational education, a lot of emphasis has been laid on the vocational education, means at least 50% of the students school education as well as in higher education should be having exposure for the vocational education by 2025. That deadline is not very far, and that's a challenge which is before the university system. Next is about more number of institutions now need to have the online and ODL courses, and I think this is a very important change which has taken place, and the policy talks about this. And obviously when we talk about the learning environment within the universities, now they have to prepare themselves for these new modes of delivery in the education. And then a major concern which has been shown about that our students should feel engaged, they should feel interested and motivated to take part in higher education, and not just for the sake of evaluation. And this is what is rightly, this concern has been shown in the NEP, because so far what is happening in the universities is that the question of absenteeism, which we see, is a huge problem which the university system has been facing. And our policy, this NEP 2020, has shown a lot of concern on this. So how to bring about this kind of engagement of the university students? How do we make them feel that the university education, what happens in the classroom, adds some value to their life, so that they come to the classrooms not because it is an attendance requirement, but because that adds some value to their life. So how we can bring about this change, how we can bring about this change of mindset in the students is a big challenge for the policy, for the implementation of this policy. And therefore it has a lot to do with the creation of learning environment in the universities. Next is about phasing out of the system of affiliated colleges, and that's a very important policy directive which is there, and therefore it will again lead to kind of change in the learning environment in the colleges and the universities. Then how to attract international students. That is a major challenge. I think this international expansion, internationalization of the university education in India actually is a major kind of a policy shift which has taken place in NEP 2020, and therefore it has a lot to do with the creation of a learning environment so that we can attract the international audience to our universities, so that we can project our programs to the international audience. And that will happen only when we will have that kind of a learning environment which suits them, which will attract them to our university system. So obviously, if we want to internationalize our university education, we will have to create that kind of a learning environment in the universities, and how actually it will be brought about, we will talk about in this presentation today. Next is about the research and innovation by creation of the startup and incubation centers. We already have a startup policy 2019 under which every university is having the institutional innovation councils and all. So that is a major kind of a policy for startup policy, which again has to be read with this policy. So that again, so these are some of the points which I think have a lot to do with the creation of effective learning environment within the university. Now let's come to the point, and what exactly is an effective learning environment. When we say that the learning environment should be effective, what exactly do we mean by that? And policy highlights 3 and 4 major points, and that is, the policy says under section 12, as Dr. Hima said, that this is a comprehensive approach. When we talk about effective learning environment, so what we are exactly trying to say is that the curriculum should be appropriate. The pedagogy should be engaging, and the formative assessment should have less emphasis on that 3R assessment about which we have been dealing with so many years, and then adequate student support. So again, I will repeat it: appropriate curriculum, engaging pedagogy, formative assessment, and adequate student support. Let's first come to the appropriate curriculum. And that is what the policy says, is that the curriculum should be appropriate, which means that it should be interesting and relevant. So far, our curriculum, as all of us know, that by and large our educational system has been kind of compartmentalized. Those kind of disciplinary kind of silos which are there have to be broken, and so that now we can enter into a different kind of disciplinary scenario, multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, kind of holistic curriculum, so that we can address the issues. We will come to that later on. And then updated curriculum should be updated to align with the latest knowledge requirements. As we know that the knowledge explosion is already taking place in all the disciplines, and therefore this appropriate curriculum, this concept of appropriate curriculum is a major challenge for our university system. All of us have how we can make it interesting, how continuously we can update it to align with the latest knowledge requirements and meet the learning outcomes will be a major challenge in the time to come. And particularly keeping in view of the fact that we want to go away from disciplinary boundaries. We want to break the disciplinary silos. And then pedagogical practices, again, means how to deliver this curricular material through the engaging experiences, again is a major challenge. We have to devise such ways and means through which we can make it engaging experience for the students. How actually it will be done? It has to be planned. It has to be planned by the universities, seeing the local context and seeing the global developments. And then assessment methods. Again, they have to be scientific. This is what the policy says. And it says that further that the continuously, kind of it should improve learning continuously. And what I mean to say is that more focus on the continuous evaluation of the students. That 3-year assessment is something which has already created so many issues in our university system. We'll talk about that in the next slides. But therefore, 3 major points. And now the last is that the student support. And by way of providing suitable resources and infrastructure, how we can provide the student support, we have to provide them suitable resources, infrastructure. But at the same time, what I feel is that personal and individualized support to develop those capacities that promote students' wellness, such as fitness, good health, psychosocial well-being, happiness, and the sound ethical groundings, all these kind of things. There could be any others. But these are the areas in which our university support system, though we have been trying our level best in the university system to support our students. They have been kind of bodies which are specifically meant for giving student support. But it has to be planned in a professional way and now as a part of university's mainstream activity. And it's very important because the support which the students need to be given are in so many areas. And then most important point is that we want to take our universities abroad. We want to take our programs abroad. That will happen only when our student support services will match the international standards. So what is our learning environment at the moment is that first, the student disinterest, as I've already talked about. And then second is that it does not address the real life issues. Then again, this is what I said, that universities, the academic disciplines are highly compartmentalized. Their curriculum is such that it doesn't talk much about the real life issues. This is the reason why most of our graduate pass outs of the universities, when they come to the real life situation, they find it so hard even to deal with the small little things in the real life situations. So, these things are very important, means how to incorporate those real life issues in the planning process of the curriculum planning process in our pedagogy, assessment systems and support systems is a challenge for university education. I mean, nobody can give a kind of a answer to this, but how it will happen is that the university academics have to decide it, seeing the context. And then need to develop global citizenship. I've already spoken about that. As knowledge, skills, values that foster commitment for the human rights, sustainable development, living and global well-being. Industry disconnect is a major problem in our learning environment. This means the university and the industry where actually these students ultimately try to seek the employment, there is a major disconnect, a lack of functional relationship between them. Means the universities go on doing something on their own, but at the same time industry evolves and it is subjected to those technological changes, knowledge explosion and all these kind of things, but they function, though they are meant for each other. And what happens is that they function independently in India. And that is an area obviously that has implication for the learning environment. Our learning environment within the universities should be such that it should have a direct functional relationship with the industry. Even to get our students internships in the university, they find it so hard to liaison with the industry. That shows the kind of a problem we are facing at the moment. So it's highly teacher-centric. As all of us know that there is a need for to make it more learner-centric. Respecting diversity in a country like India, as Dr. Hima also said, that India is a country of so many kind of communities, so many kind of variations in terms of cultures, language, linguistic backgrounds, or the economic development levels, or things of that kind. It is diverse in so many ways. How actually our university system can develop that kind of sensitivity for this diversity? And then on the top of that, there are disadvantaged groups of so many kinds, like physically challenged persons or the socially disadvantaged people. Our university system, so far, despite the fact that concern has been shown on these issues so many times, and a lot has been achieved also, but that is not good enough. Our university system, through this policy, has to respond to this major issue. Need for effective student support. I have already said that silos have to be broken. There is a need for integrated learning. Extracurriculars should be at part with the curricular and co-curricular activities. There is a need for innovations in the university setup. We will come to that later on. Need to change the mindset and the cultural shift within the university. To sum up all these things, I can say that there is a major need for a change of mindset and a cultural shift within the universities. Emphasis on communication, coordination, cooperation, and collaboration. So curriculum, first let's take up the curriculum. I will go a little fast now. Curriculum, what is missing in our curriculum? As I said, that disciplines are compartmentalized. Again, I am going to reiterate it, that this is a major problem. Teachers are not adequately sensitized about this issue. And they are in kind of a habit of working within the disciplinary domains. And there is a need to change the mindsets also. There is no functional relationship with the job market, and at the same time students are not employable despite the fact that jobs are available. I am saying it based on a study which was done some time back during the period of recession, and what was found that most of the employers said that though they have got jobs available with them, they don't have the students who can take up those jobs. So students are not employable as per the industry statistics. There is a need to include 21st century. All these things are getting repeated and are different in different slides, but that is required to repeat them, and I will go now straightway to the next slide. And then mental, physical, social, emotional, and psychological development is something which is not there in our curriculum, is devoid of all these aspects, which are very so important aspects from the point of view of students. UNESCO and WHO has already prescribed 10 core life skills which need to be incorporated in the curriculum and not rooted in Indian tradition and ethos. And this is what I feel that is a very important point. Our curriculum, by and large, is geared up, highly influenced by the Western way of thinking. Most of the times you will find that in your disciplines or in your curriculum also, you will find examples only from the Western world. But the fact is that there is a lot in Indian tradition and ethos through which we can draw examples and include them in our curriculum. And that is, again, I think is a very important issue in the curriculum. More number of examples should be given from Indian context, because they are there in any case. And then optimal learning is a role of curriculum. I will skip this slide because many things have already been covered, but again, these issues have been covered already. Optimal, and now the issues in pedagogy. These issues again have implications for creation of that kind of a learning environment which needs to be there in the university. First is that, again, it is not engaging, so our pedagogy should make it engaging for the students. Earlier I said that to make an engaging experience for the students, we need to have those changes in the curriculum, but at the same time we need those changes in the pedagogy also to make the things engaging for the students. So similarly, at the moment it is highly teacher-centric pedagogy. We have to make it, we have to devise ways and means to make it more learner-centric. There is little use of technology. While working in the university like IGNOU, I have seen that technology has been a kind of a mainstream active kind of thing which is happening in the university, seeing the fact that the IGNOU has been the largest user of the technology in the country. But all the universities have not been able to do it. Little use of technology in our university system is something which ails our system. And that is where, to create an engaging pedagogy, technology should be utilized. Then it can't meet the requirement of diverse group of learner. Existing pedagogical practices, they are not able to address the diverse group of learners. For instance, to give you some examples, like classroom situation, you will find that many different kind of, let me say that for say physically challenged persons, and in university classrooms, they find it so hard to come to the classroom and then take education. For instance, this is for giving examples from my own university. Let me tell you that we have had such different kinds of learner support centers where we cater to the needs of the students through different kind of strategies and by way of using technologies for them. So what other universities possibly can also do it, and this is an issue in any case which we have to address now. And then it is not sensitive to peculiar problems of the disabled population, as I said it, and access to technology is limited in remote areas. Again, that is a kind of an issue, because access, though if even if universities acquire developed technology based pedagogies, then ultimately when it comes to reaching out to the people, that access to technology has a differential kind of access across the country. So that's a challenge for us. So how to overcome it, how to address this issue, again is a university academics problems, and they have to see it. Then ODL, online and face-to-face system, they are seen in isolation most of the times. This is what has been seen in Indian educational system at the moment. Though UGC has now come out with a notification that they should be treated at par, and there should not be made any distinctions between them. But earlier, the kind of mindset, and that mindset we are carrying forward, is that we still see them from different kind of angle. We need to develop a kind of a mindset that they are the different modes and they are equal and there is no distinction between them. Then bias against this distance and online education, again this is going to hit our university system very badly if we don't come out of that kind of a mindset, because lot will depend now onwards on the distance and online educational system. A use of experiential pedagogy, reflection on what is learned, focus on learning and not evaluation. Similarly, issues in assessments are there. I have already told you that this high stake 3-hour examination for the students is something which has plagued the system for a very long period of time. University system in India has to come out of it. So how actually it will do it is a big question, and which has to be addressed now when we are implementing this NEP. So earlier, this 3-hour assessment actually is something which has not only created so many psychosocial problems for the students, psychological problems for the students, but at the same time it has promoted the culture of the coaching culture in the university, in the country, which is something which is very, very dangerous for the country like India. Technological solutions emerging, but infrastructure is limited in assessment, though in IGNOU, what we have been doing is that we have been experimenting a lot on this online examination system, and we have successfully done it. We have been holding remote proctored examinations for our online students. We have been offering our programs abroad. But again, there are issues like the kind of availability of infrastructure across the country, or wherever we want to reach out to. This is a major issue which the university system has to address to. In any case, we have to use online systems, more technology for the evaluation systems. But how actually it will be done? How online examination systems can be made more perfect? That is a challenge for us. Holistic assessment again. Assessment to be based on the learning goals, which will make the system fairer. Onus of evaluation is not only on the teacher, but also on the self-assessment and peer assessment. That is a major issue which has been raised in the policy. Need for creativity. I think creativity has to be brought about within the higher education system, and at the moment what we can see, and all of us will agree to the fact that we are not that creative when you come to the issue at the moment in higher education system. There is a need to be more creative, and how actually we will do it, how it can be promoted within the university system is a challenge for us. Say by 2040, every higher education system has to be autonomous and there will not be any concept of affiliation. This is what we know. But how actually it will be done? How our colleges will be prepared for this? How our academics and how our students will be prepared for this? How our faculty will be trained to meet those big challenges? So that is where the creativity will be required. A lot of innovation will be required. Institutions and faculty will have to be autonomous so that they can innovate for curriculum planning, pedagogy and assessment. So if so far that kind of a dependency anxiety which is there in the most of the colleges means they have to now equip themselves with those competence to meet these challenges. Teachers need to prepare themselves for designing curriculum pedagogy. CBCS system has to be revised for instilling innovation and flexibility. Higher education system will move to some criteria-based grading system which assesses students' achievement based on the learning goal for each program. Right? So how these things will require creativity. There is no straight-jacketed answer for the college and university teachers how they can do it. They have to do it seeing their context. Internationalization, I think I have already touched upon this issue that now this is the first time that the Indian universities are now venturing into the internationalization of higher education. So a lot of challenges. The universities, the best 100 universities of the world will be allowed to set up their campuses in the country. So obviously Indian universities have to compete with them. So how we can create that kind of a learning environment through which we can compete with them is a major challenge for us. If we don't improve our learning environment, if we don't improve our curriculum, pedagogy, assessment and support systems, we will not be able to compete with those world-class universities. So that's a major challenge before us. Indian educational systems have to match international yardsticks, and Indian context needs to be projected across the world. So that is an opportunity for us. So far our higher education programs were confined to the country, India only. Now when we are taking them abroad, this is an opportunity for us to project our rich culture, ancient culture before them. And that is how actually we will do it. How we will project our culture, our ancient traditions, that rich glorious past before the world is a challenge for us. And that is an area where I think that this higher education system now can be used as a tool of soft diplomacy. So we know that we aspire to be the Vishwaguru, and therefore what is important is that all these things have to be taken very seriously, and therefore Indian education system has to somehow meet those challenges which when we will come into competition with these best universities of the world. Quickly I will go through the rest of the slides, because we have to go for this question answer sessions also. And now here's in the policy there is how higher education system can respond to such challenges and create new opportunities. Institutional development plan is one such thing through which we have to actually do it. Institutional development plan, every university has to prepare, and it has to be well planned document through which all these issues can be addressed. I think that's a kind of a way to go through which we will be able to address the challenges of NEP. We have to embrace ODL systems. So far the kind of a bias as I was talking about has to go. We have to embrace open and distance learning systems. MOOCs, open educational resources are the opportunities before us. Are to be face-to-face, ODL and online degrees have to be are to be treated as equivalent, and that is what the UGC has already come out with that. But we have to have that kind of mindset also in the public also, to take them on the same footing. Learning management systems can be developed through which we can respond to the change, to the needs. Creating links between the vocational and higher education, as IGNOU has already started doing it. Online laboratories, online examinations, learning management systems, API softwares are all the new kind of opportunities which are before us through which we can respond to these challenges. IGNOU has taken several challenges, several initiatives and in consonance with the NEP mandate. I will just quickly go through some of these slides, and we'll just introduce you to the names, and we then in the question answer session we can take up those issues in details. For instance, the kind of technology we have been using technology in a big way. As I told you that IGNOU is known for its technological interventions. We have been, in fact, right from the beginning, ISRO has been one of our biggest collaborators, through which we have been trying to reach out to the people and places. And now in the digital world, in the online scenario, our programs are now all online. We have our international division, through which we have reached out to so many countries. We are offering online programs across the world. So IGNOU is doing it in a big way. Swayam Prabha, through which I'm talking to you right now, we have Gyan Darshan TV channel, similarly Gyanvani network of FM radio channels, eGyan Kosh, that's a kind of web-based repository which we have created. Similarly, to enhance the reach of our materials, we have developed e-content app through which the people can have access to our these materials. And Vyas platform, IGNOU website for online admission, student support, all these things, as you can see it on the screen here, that so many initiatives like using social media in a big way, which the IGNOU has been doing. And during the corona period, during this pandemic period, social media is something which has helped us a lot. And therefore, how we have been doing it, you will be able to find it, all those details on our website. I won't go much into the details, but now during the question answer session, we will take up all those questions. You can just see the slides, how actually a culture of innovation we have brought about within the university. That is again a policy directive of NEP 2020. Innovation clubs are there in our university. Similarly, we have been encouraging the students through our activities to giving them mentoring support to set up their startups and all. And that is the reason why many of our students have got awards at the national level platforms. Similarly, Student Innovation Award we have constituted. Similarly, organizing idea and innovation competitions, idea to startup schemes, all these things, as you can see, that sound very interesting. That is not something which IGNOU has done with overnight. We have had that culture of doing the things through technological means right from the beginning. And what I would like to suggest through this presentation is that, again, for instance, Navriti, this virtual incubator for the students, you will find it a very interesting idea. What I would like to advise you is to please visit our website, particularly the activities of our National Center for Innovations in Distance Education, where you will find so many such initiatives which we have taken to reach out to the people, create a culture of innovations, and then change the curriculum, change the pedagogies, and ultimately reach out to the wider public. So thank you very much, and now we can go to question answer session. I am very sorry I have taken a little more time, but now we can go to the questions.
Thank you, sir, for that very comprehensive and elaborate presentation, and I hope our viewers and our participants would have really benefited from that elaborate presentation, and we'll be back with you in a few seconds for the question answer session. Thank you.